Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and it just occurred to me that ZipRecruiter has been sponsoring my podcast, The Way I Heard It, for the last 10 years. Consequently, I've agreed to sing their jingle at the end of this commercial in 4-part harmony, all by myself. Why would I do that? Because years ago, when the MicroWorks Foundation was expanding and I was desperate to hire a few uniquely qualified individuals, I posted a job for free on ZipRecruiter, and I found the people I was looking for in less than 24 hours. It's that simple. Ever since, I've been telling my audience that ZipRecruiter got me the most qualified, most interested people. And now I'm telling you. Post a job for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip and watch what happens. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. And now, here's their official jingle in 4-part harmony. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match at ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
This is the Elevate Media Podcast, created for high achievers on a mission to continuously elevate their life and business. Now here's your host, Chris Anderson.
Welcome back to another recording of the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson, your host. Today we're going to be diving into the topic of dyslexia, stigmas around that, why there's so much of it, how we can help other people with it, and things of that nature. We brought in an expert who, has had over a decade teaching students with dyslexia and researching and helping individuals actually overcome dyslexia, serious partnerships and programs that he's creating and books he's writing. So super excited for today's episode with Russell Van Brocklen. Russell, welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to dive right into it. Super excited to kind of hit on this topic. Dyslexia. I think I saw in studies at the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity that 15 to 20% of the population has dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bigger number than I would have said, right? So is there a reason why we are still kind of falling short when we're trying to help dyslexic students when it's such a prevalent thing out there?
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you exactly why it's prevalent. I want you to think back in your education. How far did you go? High school, college, grad school?
Master's degree, yeah.
Master's degree. So I want you to think, when you went through your education, if you did only 2 things, if you planned your studying properly, you set up enough time, and then you worked really hard, you either did well or you did really, really well. Sound
Right.
familiar?
Yeah.
You let one of those 2 things go, your grades go down the tube. Your parents, when you're younger, have a talk with you, you go back up. It's very simple.
Right.
So you mentioned Yale. This is the number 1 book in my field, Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Shaywitz from Yale. This is dyslexia.
Yeah.
So do you see how the back part of your brain, you see all that massive neural activity?
Yep.
Let's call that K through high school.
Okay.
Look at the neural activity in the back part of the dyslexic brain. Do you see how it just is pretty much non-existent?
Right.
Now let's look at the overactivity in the front part of the dyslexic brain. Do you see how it's about 2.5 times overactive?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the system is set up the exact opposite of how my brain works.
Okay.
And you're wondering why we're struggling. So let me give you an example of why this just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I want you to think, for me, the sport that I'm really bad at is basketball.
Okay.
What sport are you really, really bad at?
Ping pong.
Ping pong. All right. So let's say you are now told that your economic future depends on your ability to play ping pong. But we're going to get you the very best ping pong coach on the planet. You're going to practice for 6 months, 8 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, and we're going to get you the best ping pong equipment.
Yeah.
And we're going to make your competitor, who is naturally gifted at ping pong and practices a lot, and we're going to get them used Walmart equipment. Is it going to matter?
Probably not.
Because your body was not designed for ping pong.
Sure. Right.
Okay. My brain was not designed to do school the way we do in kindergarten through college. Why? Because my brain was designed for graduate school. What you're going to find with dyslexics is we are extraordinarily, the same thing for attention deficit disorder and especially attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. what our brains are designed to be. We are academic specialists. We love focusing on our narrow little niche.
Yeah.
We go outside of that, and it's a huge problem. So let me give you an example of how we actually solve this and how we can actually help other dyslexics students as we go through this. But first of all, that overactive front part of the brain, what the science shows, I'm just going to quickly go back to Yale's research and show you the actual brain again. We need to stop focusing on trying to make the back part of the brain of the dyslexic look like this, because there's just nothing going on. We need to focus on the front part of the brain where we have 2.5 times the neuroactivity. That deals with 2 areas: word analysis followed by articulation.
Okay.
All right. Do you know any dyslexic elementary school kids at any point in your life?
Probably. Yeah.
No, anybody specific?
I can't think anyone specifically right now.
Okay. So the biggest issue that your listeners have who are dealing with this, it's an elementary school, and the kids are writing essentially a bunch of randomly placed misspelled words. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that. The kids are writing randomly placed misspelled words. Teachers don't know what to do. Special ed teachers don't know. Psychologists don't. Nobody knows. And they're just falling further and further behind, and it's frustrating everybody.
Yeah.
I'm now going to show you how to solve that in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
And most likely give you an epiphany on what dyslexia really is.
Okay. Would that be so like sometimes I noticed myself when I was younger, at least more than now, thinking what I was going to write in the future, and I wrote that before I was finished writing what I needed to write before? Or is that different? Is that just me being weird?
No. Let's go ahead and see if you're dyslexic, ADD, or ADHD first.
Okay.
What's your speciality? What's your area of extreme interest and ability?
Oh gosh.
Just one thing you really like doing that you're really good at. It's that simple.
Soccer. Is that kind of tracking with
Soccer. No, that works great. When you're thinking about soccer, here's the question. Do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed but with little to no organization? That's either you or it's not you.
I feel like that in business, but not in soccer. Soccer, I feel like I just see things ahead of time.
Okay. Something that you like to do in business, do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed but with little?
Yeah.
Okay.
I joke all the time, like I have so many pathways going that I see in my brain. It's just trying to get them out to get things done.
Okay. So let me guess on soccer. When you were a kid, you had them flying around your head at light speed but with little to no organization, and you eventually found a way to organize it.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Here's the next question. There's something about business that you want to write about. Fingers, keyboard. The idea's in your head. You take your fingers, put it on your keyboard. Then the idea just flies out of your head once your fingers hit the keyboard. Does that happen to you or not really?
Like being able to actually put the words out there?
Nope. The idea's in your head. You put your fingers on the keyboard. Once you put your fingers on the keyboard, the idea flies out of your head, leaving you with an empty brain.
Oh, sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, you probably have some form of dyslexia.
Okay.
Okay. That's, or it might be a mild case of ADD or ADHD. The way that you answered that, it's suggestive. If you said absolutely yes to one or both, you said yes to the first question, absolutely, that's ADD, ADHD, or mild dyslexia. If you said absolutely to the second question, it's dyslexia.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So you may want to get yourself tested, but that's probably the case. So let's take you for example.
Sure.
Did you have trouble when you were in elementary school writing randomly placed misspelled words?
Like,
or not really?
Them up?
No, like you're just writing randomly placed misspelled words when you were like 3rd grade. Or were you pretty good at it? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a student. Her name is Sarah. This is what I typically use as an example.
Sure.
Sarah's 10 years old.
Okay.
She's in 5th grade, reading and writing at the 2nd grade level. And she is writing randomly placed misspelled words. Her favorite thing to do in the world is swimming. She's on the swim team. She gets the pool every chance she can get. So I'm going to now tell you in the next 10 minutes how to teach Sarah to write decent sentences with decent grammar and correct spelling.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to open up a laptop computer with a real keyboard. Not an iPad, not an iPhone, and certainly not handwriting.
Okay.
You're going to type out hero +sign. What are we talking about? And she's going to copy it. And your audience is going crazy right now because we can't have the kids copy. Professor James Collins Strategies for struggling writers, default writing strategy of copying. It's fine. All right. So she's going to copy that.
Yeah.
Then what we're going to do is we're going to replace hero for Sarah's name. So we got Sarah +, what are we talking about?
Okay.
And then we're going to go to a list of 10 things that Sarah really, really likes and 10 things she really, really doesn't like. And the first thing she really, really likes, we're going to swap out what are we talking about for that, which is swimming. So we got Sarah +, what are we talking about? We're going to swap that out for swimming. We got Sarah + swimming. Okay. See how we got there?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to try to fool you with two of the most simple questions you will ever be asked.
Okay.
If you follow what I'm doing, what I say exactly, this will work. Okay. If it doesn't, it's not going to work, and you'll have an epiphany in what dyslexia really is. Do you think I can fool you?
Probably, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Here's the secret. You need to just do exactly what I asked with the most simplest questions ever. So we got Sarah +, swimming. We need to replace the word for the +. Here's my question. Does Sarah like or dislike swimming?
Like.
You're one of the very few people that got that correct. Now, for the really hard part, you need to swap out the + for the words you just said and give me the 3-word sentence.
Sarah likes swimming.
But that's not what I asked.
Uh-oh.
You got it right the first time. Now I need you to go ahead and replace. We got Sarah + swimming. Take the word that you told me and replace the +. What's the 3-word sentence?
Oh man, I don't.
Do I have you nice and confused?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Are you ready for your epiphany on dyslexia?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked you initially, does Sarah like or dislike swimming? You said like, which was correct, which very few people get on the first go around.
Okay.
But then you did what almost every educated person in the country does.
Mm-hmm.
When I asked you to put it into the sentence, you added the S to make it a proper sentence. Sarah's dyslexic. She doesn't know how to add the S.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's go back into the science. You were operating like typically with this massive overactivity. Sarah's got nothing going on. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to get Sarah to add the S. So the traditional approach, like you're in business, I want you to imagine one of your kids had severe dyslexia, was struggling like crazy, and a school came to you. And I'm just going to call it the Windward Academy in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. They say, we've been doing this since you were a little kid. We've been doing this for decades. Mm-hmm. We have a 98% success rate. Give us your kid, and in 4 or 5 years, we'll send your kid back completely as educated as amongst the best private schools in the world. We're $75,000 a year for 4 to 5 years with a 98% success rate. You got $500,000 sitting around?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Most parents don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop trying to reactivate this this back part of the brain with nothing going on. Mm-hmm. And we're going to use the overactive front part of the brain. And that's how we're going to show Sarah how to add the S. So here's the first part. Okay. We have to use word analysis because that's what the overactive front part of the brain deals with. How do we know that? Yale told us. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to ask Sarah. When I ask Sarah, do you like or dislike? She's going to say like. And then when she replaced the plus, then it's going to be Sarah likes swimming. Here's how we make it easy. Ask Sarah, read what you wrote out loud. Sarah likes swimming. Sarah, does that sound generally correct? No. Fix it. Sarah likes swimming.
Okay.
We practice that for 10 likes and 10 dislikes.
Oh, okay.
All right. See how that's a simple form of word analysis?
Yeah.
Now tell me a simple reason. Sarah likes swimming because... Tell me a simple reason why a 10-year-old girl would like swimming.
Being with friends.
Sarah likes swimming because she likes being with friends. Now, do you see how we have a whole mess of misspelled words?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to use articulation to fix that. Now, do you see how the reasons after because is a simple form of articulation?
Yeah.
We have now brought what doesn't work back here. We're now bringing it up here with 2.5 times the neural activity in the front part of the brain.
Okay.
So here's how we fix that. We ask Sarah to read what she wrote out loud, and does it sound generally correct? We don't care about spelling now. Okay. And if not, to fix it. Why? because teachers have a real hard time with horrific grammar mistakes. They're really good at the simple and medium ones, but have a hard time with just a mess. That's now corrected. We got some little ones and we got some medium ones which the teachers can deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we do is we tell Sarah each time to drop a period. Each time there's a misspelled word, she has to retype the entire sentence.
Okay.
So she says, I'm not going to make that mistake. And she keeps making it for between 3 and 13 times. The more time she messes up, the harder she concentrates. And that's where the magic happens in the front part of the brain. Eventually, she gets it correct. And we've practiced that for 10 likes and 10 dislikes, everything spelled correctly.
Yeah.
For reason 1. Then reason 1 and reason 2. 10 likes, 10 dislikes, everything spelled correctly. Reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. 10 likes and 10 dislikes, everything spelled correctly. If you're still having issues with that, run it again, doing the same thing until everything is spelled correctly. What you've just done is you've just taken a kid writing randomly placed misspelled words and doing decent 3-reason sentences with correct spelling and decent grammar.
Very interesting. So where does that, like, where other things turn up with dyslexia besides, the spelling, the misplaced words? Where else does that show up that, maybe this can benefit from doing that exercise? Like, how does dyslexia show up outside of just misspelled and misplaced words?
Well, it shows up and the kids just don't want to do anything. But one more thing about what I just showed you.
Yeah.
Everybody's worried about reading.
Mm-hmm.
I teach writing.
Right.
Because I want you to think about this. If you can write it, you can read it.
Okay.
If you can write it, you can read it. The other way it shows up is I just can't get these kids to do anything.
Okay.
If you notice, when you were going through school, did you notice outside of the area you're really interested in, it was really hard to focus?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you so that's part 3 of the model. Now I'm going to tell you about the first part.
Okay.
The student I'm about to mention, her name is Casey. I never saw this before, Casey. I will never see this again. This was a one-off to illustrate this most critical point. I met Casey when she was near the end of 5th grade. She was 10 years old. She turned 11 over the summertime. She was reading and writing at the 2nd grade level, and she was really interested in Theodore Roosevelt. So I assigned her this little book, The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt, all 900 pages of it. This book won the Pulitzer. It's for 10th grade to first-year college level, depending on who you ask. Casey insisted on doing reading first. So I said, okay, here's the process. Work with your mom a couple times a week, 10, 20 minutes. Let your mom decide. And I'll meet you next week. I didn't know Casey. She went up to her room, took my simple system for reading, shut the door for 3 hours a night, 7 days a week for 6 months, most of the days during the summertime. At the end of that period, you could tell her to flip to this random page, point to a word, and she would tell you the dictionary definition.
Wow.
She jumped 8 grade levels in 6 months, and I worked with her for 15 minutes a week. Okay? That's Casey. Now, why am I spending so much time on this? Because her mom was concerned, what happens when we move from something that you really like to something that she doesn't like? So I assigned her my most popular book, Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination, all 1,000 pages. Because if you go to Disneyland or Disney World, there are 2 universal themes that make up the Disney magic. The first one, anybody can find in 5 minutes. The second one takes my students 1 to 3 years. And their parents never find it, and they have master's degrees. All right? And why are parents willing to spend all that time on one book? Because when they're done, they're reading like 17-year-olds.
Wow.
And I usually assign that to 10-year-olds and above. Casey did it in 3 months. Here's why I'm spending so much time on this. When I asked Casey when she stepped out from what she really liked to something she couldn't stand, how much did her motivation drop? She said about 50%. The most motivated kid I ever worked with. Most dyslexics, ADD, and ADHD students will tell you they're down 75 to 90% the moment you step outside of their speciality.
Sure.
So, and what is school? Do you remember back in high school, you did like 5-10 books a year or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Everything is outside their speciality generally. And so you can't get them to do anything. Sound familiar?
Yep.
Okay. So what we have to do, this is not permanent, but during the intervention period, to get the student to do something until we can get them up to grade level, then we can put them back into normal classes. We have to focus on their speciality, their area of extreme interest and ability. We get them a book, an audio book, and we go from there.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, if you ask a dyslexic, in your area, your speciality, do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed, but with little to no organization? They're going to say yes. So the secret is we need to force the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. So let me ask you this. For a gen ed high school kid or college student, the following would be really easy. Let me know if this would be easy or hard for you.
Okay.
Try thinking about doing a paper on this question. What effect did Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech have on the American Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s? Does that sound something pretty easy for you to do?
Yeah, I think it'd be all right.
Okay. Most people that are neurodiverse, that is really hard because it's like grabbing fog. There's nothing to grab onto. Most education starts off at the really big picture and then eventually over time goes down to details. We think so rapidly in the front part of our brain with little to no organization, we can't function properly that way until we're properly trained. So what we have to do, ideally, we start off at a very fixed point and then we move out. Okay. What personally compelled Martin Luther King to want to give his famous speech? We find that answer. Then that answer gives us a question, which gives us an answer, which gives us a question, which gives us an answer. That key point that forces the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. So the model is simple. During the intervention period, we focus on the kid's speciality, their area of extreme interest and ability. We get them a book, an audio book, preferably a couple grade levels ahead of where they're supposed to be, so they can grow into it. Number two, we teach them from the specific to the general, word analysis followed by articulation. Parents want to know how successful this is. I'm going to tell you about Kimberly, a very religious homeschooling mom, and a big part of their life is church and reading in church. Kimberly has some college. She successfully taught Reed's 4 brothers and sisters to read properly, to read exceptionally with traditional methods as a homeschooling mom. But she failed miserably with Reed. She felt ashamed. She felt sorrowful. And when I met her, she really wanted to fix this. Well, Reed was 10 years old when we met on December 27th of 2024. Just so happened she spent $700 to have the state of Ohio test him. A couple weeks before this, he was reading at the 11th percentile, writing at the 4th percentile. She worked with Reed for an hour and a half a day for the rest of the school year. An hour and a half a week, about 3 half-hour sessions a week. Most parents do 10 to 15-minute sessions. I worked with her for half an hour a week. At the end of the school year, he had an increase, but I'm not going to tell you about that because over the summertime, Reed's friend said, we want you in public school to be with us socially. So at the beginning of August, he was tested in a public school. Much better data. Mom's miles away. Well, he had an increase. He went from the 11th percentile in reading to the 64th percentile.
Wow.
His writing went from the 65th percentile. I'm sorry, the 4th percentile to the 65th. His grammar jumped to the 97th. Now, this was January. Reed would have been placed in special ed away from his friends. Unhappy kid. I asked Kimberly, how did he do the first couple months of school? She said, he's getting mainly A's and B's in typical classes. He's doing just fine. That's how powerful this is. Kimberly taught him over 7 times faster than the public school could have, taught him faster than even the private schools could. She did what every parent dreamed of because she followed this method during the intervention period. It's literally that simple.
Interesting. So is there a point where, because these have all been, elementary age kids for the most part, adults, does this work on adults as well?
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't know brain development stages, if it changed or...
The older you are, the quicker you build up my process. My first program, we took a bunch of super motivated, this was funded by the New York State Senate, of extremely motivated dyslexic high school juniors and seniors. And remember when you went into grad school, you took like the GRE writing or GRE or something like that? Okay. Well, we gave these kids, they're juniors and seniors in high school, remember, super motivated, super intelligent. They had writing skills of the middle school level. And we give them the GRE, and most of them score in the 0 percentile. Okay. One class period a day for the school year, they increased to the average range of entering grad students, 30th to 70th percentile. They all went on to college. So they jumped literally 8 grade levels in 1 year. Their spelling and grammar went from horrendous to clean at the graduate level.
Yeah.
And the teachers spent almost no time on it. They all went out of college. They all graduated. GPAs of 2.5, 3.6. Cost New York State taxpayers less than $900 a kid. All right. And we were, compared to the best dyslexic college, which was a transfer 2-year college at the time, we were 3 times more successful for less than 1% of the cost. And that was literally funded by the New York State government.
Yeah.
But remember I said that was for the super motivated. For the big part that everybody else wanted was, how do we get these kids to write body paragraphs at the high school level so they can pass their test? So I'm just going to show you quickly how to do that. Okay. So best way I like to describe to do that is using universal themes. And I find this is just the best way to explain it, because it's coming at this from a totally unique angle. It's completely original. I want you to think about a movie that you saw in your lifetime that is one everybody has seen, that you think is one of the best of all times, that you know really, really well. What's that movie?
We'll say Fellowship of the Ring.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Yep.
Okay. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. I'm going to ask you a really hard question.
Okay.
Okay. And this is going to take you a little bit to figure out. I need you to tell me in one word, one universal thing that best represents that movie.
Bravery.
Bravery. Okay. Now, I just want your audience to know you have a master's degree, which means you're one of the most educated person is a percentile basis in the country. Not that many Americans have masters or above. Okay. And that still took you a couple of seconds to really think, to figure out. Okay. So this is a very thought-provoking journey that I'm going to walk you on. But just remember, dyslexics have 2.5 times the neural activity. So this is, now you're playing in my sandbox.
Okay.
Okay. So now bravery. So if you look back at the movie reviews written by Ivy League educated people, you're going to notice that a lot of them just wrote, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. You read the review, it ruins the movie. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. I could have a 7th grader do that.
Right.
Here's how we do this properly. We take the universal theme bravery. We take the actors, the main ones that you're interested in, and you say, how did they do with the universal theme of bravery?
Yep.
Then how did the director do? How did the screenwriter do? You put it all together, you write your review, then people can look over that and they can say, yes, that makes sense. I want to see this, or I don't, based on what you wrote, but you haven't ruined it for them.
Right.
Okay. Here's the problem. Bravery is it's so broad that you can't laser focus on what you want to say. You have to say things more general. That's what you're limited to.
Okay.
So we need to fix that. So I'm going to show you how we're going to write advanced body paragraphs in English class, which is the worst thing for dyslexics.
Okay.
I want you to think back to a standard Shakespearean play. Okay. You would have 3 acts. You would have a hero. The hero wants to accomplish something, and they do that through one or more universal themes. Then they have an optimum villain, a person or a concept or a combination there too. The hero and the villain have conflicts that build up from Act 1, increase a lot in Act 2, and are resolved in Act 3. Sound familiar?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're just going to simplify that.
Okay.
And by the way, this works really well for marketing, business stuff as well. So let's say we have a hero. The hero so let's just pick, tell me a book in high school that everybody's read.
Oh gosh.
Or would you like to go back, or we can just use Lord of the Rings?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. So let's just do that. So for Lord of the Rings, what we're going to do is we're going to have to pick our hero.
Okay.
We could pick the obvious, or we could go with a minor character. Who's the hero?
Sam.
What does Sam want to do? Now when you answer that, you would write out probably a couple of paragraphs. Okay. Notice that you could also just have them write out one sentence, and I just showed you how to get them to write a sentence. Okay, so they can now do that. So let's say you do a couple of paragraphs. Okay. For each sentence, you're going to look for the most important word for each sentence. And then you're going to, out of all the ones you've written, you're going to take all the most important words and come up with the best most important word. That is going to be like your base universal theme. Okay. But just like the universal theme you came up with for the Lord of the Rings, it is just too broad. So we need to get the laser focus on your head. So what we tell the students, assuming you're doing this for a writing project, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that universal theme, that base universal theme. We're going to have you type it out, and then we're going to go to Merriam-Webster's online dictionary, and the student's going to pick their definition, and they're going to type that out too. Please note I said type.
Yep.
You are not going to copy and paste. You can't copy and paste. Waste everything. You're darn right you're not going to use an iPad and iPhone, and certainly you're not going to handwrite this. You got to type this on a real keyboard. At some point after you type that word and the definition you selected, 5 times, 10 times, whatever the number is, you will know it permanently.
Yep.
This is so 5 years later, when I have kids doing this at 10 and 11, they have to take their SAT or ACT. The verbal section is just a vocabulary test. They don't have to do this with hundreds of words because they've done it when they were much younger. They remember 70 to 80% of the definition. Because the other thing is, why I'm doing this is the front part of the brain deals with word analysis first. If you don't know what the word means, really know, you can't do word analysis.
Right.
Okay. So we start. What's that?
Why type on a keyboard over writing, though?
Because when you try to type the letter W compared to handwriting it, it just falls apart because the physical act of handwriting drops it like crazy. When I did my original course, I took the kid scoring in the 70th percentile, had him handwrite on a prompt that he knew well, and depending on how the scorer put it, we're down to the 6th percentile to the 30th because he handwrote it. It just kills us.
Interesting.
Okay? You have to type. All right, so you do that, and people, I could hear it now, but my kids won't do it. If you're in their speciality, they will. If you're outside, they won't. Okay? It's that important. So we go ahead, and then we go into the thesaurus, the synonyms. You pick 5, you pick 10, the whole level, multiple levels, and between the teacher, the parent, and the kid. And then you decide, let's just assume you're going to do 5 or 10. You type out the word, you go to Merriam-Webster's online dictionary, find their definition, type it out. What you're going to find is you're going to find a word that is much closer to what's in their head. It's never going to be perfect, but it's much closer. Once you find that, you can now more like laser focus, figure out who the optimum villain is. I typically start off with a person, and then when you get better at it, you eventually go to a concept. So now we have the hero, the universal theme, and the optimum villain, which we are now laser focused on because we've found a word that has a definition that best matches what's in the kid's head. So now we put that into a basic sentence. Do you see how that's an evolved form of word analysis?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we go on to articulate. We want 3 really good reasons. Okay. The first reason, we're going to take that and turn it into a simple universal theme. Then we're going to go to the script of the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, and we're going to find a sentence that deals with that universal theme at the beginning of the movie and one at the end. Then we're going to take those 2 and we're going to put them together. We now have 2 sentences, 2 quotes that deal with that universal theme. Now, with those 2 quotes, we're going to form and write out a topic sentence.
Okay.
Now, have you ever found when you were in your master's program or in college, that you'd have your topic sentence and then you'd have your data, be it a quote or be it statistics or a combination, whatever. Did you ever notice that when you're going from your topic sentence to your data, it never flowed really well? Felt kind of abrupt?
I don't know. I like the segue between the 2.
Yeah, so you have your topic sentence and then you have your data. Have you ever noticed that generally it didn't flow the best?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever thought of applying a warrant to a body paragraph?
No.
Okay. Do you know what a warrant is to a body paragraph?
I don't think so.
Okay. And again, this is just to show you how advanced this is. You have a master's degree. Okay. Anybody outside of a PhD program generally doesn't know what this is. It's from a book called The Craft of Research, which was created in 1995 to teach PhD students to write their doctoral dissertations.
Gotcha.
And I was asked to teach this to high school kids. And it's context, get everybody on the same page, problem statement worth solving, and then original solution. And I start teaching this to 9-year-olds. Okay, so what a warrant is connecting the topic sentence to the data by answering a how and why question.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So
Yep.
we have our topic sentence, our 2 quotes, and then we ask a how and why question. We connect the 2. We only use 1 warrant because they're both based on the same universal themes. Now, there's a lot of other steps to finish things off that is based on the craft of research. And, again, that book has sold over 1 million copies since 1995.
Wow.
That make this much more evolved, but this is the basics. Why is this so important? Because when a university, I'm going to give you an example. When a university professor looked at this from one of my students who was in 7th grade, I had something that was very common. They have older brothers or sisters who are fighting to become valedictorians. In this case, the older brother was a senior in high school fighting to be valedictorian. It was an AP English and wrote much better paragraphs. They flowed better, the word choice. It was beautiful. But the university professor looked at the high school kid, AP English kid, and this dyslexic 7th grader and said, oh, the 7th grader used a warrant. Okay. This must be at the college level because they used a warrant. It's technically more evolved. And then when the high school kid found out, he's dyslexic, it's my younger brother. What do you mean he's writing technically more involved paragraphs? And he got really furious and told his younger brother, isn't that beautiful? You want to know when he felt like he arrived. He arrived.
Yeah.
Okay. So the key thing is what I just showed you. We took you from basic sentences to how to write, for a big chunk of it, high school level paragraphs. And we've done that in less than an hour.
Right. So where that's an amazing thing because, so many people do struggle with this. And so why is this not more, and I know you're pushing it, you're trying to get it out there more. Why is this system not so prevalent, so well known?
I've been teaching this to New York City special ed teachers for the past 12 years.
Right.
Why is it not everywhere? I joined Podmatch in April. This is my 193rd podcast. I'm just about finishing a book with Evelyn White Bay, who's one of the 2 teachers in the New York State Dyslexia Task Force. We're trying to get it out there, the cost effectiveness. You're a business guy, so we can go in and train a school teacher, a whole school, how to do this from I can't read anything to these advanced paragraphs in 6 hours. And my competition can do something similar, take you about 2 years.
Interesting.
It's a master's degree, $11,000 a teacher, because they're using things that haven't changed much since the 1950s.
Right. So we're continuing to use almost a broken process instead of wanting to update because of it's too expensive, it's too much work.
Oh, it's not. No, not too expensive. I mean, this is not hard at all. As I said, this is not expensive in the least compared to everything else out there.
Is it just
they're not doing well? I'll tell you exactly why. The entire field. This is the dyslexic brain again. They're trying to make this part where nothing's going on look more like this. I looked at it and I said, this is ridiculous. Look at this over 2.5 times the front part of the brain. They're trying, that example I gave you when you started off, when I said, you're no good at ping pong. Well, they're trying to make you they're trying to make you a decent ping pong player.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much time and money you put into it. It's just not, your body's not designed for that. So, we're trying to get the word out, but what is in there is so entrenched.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, it's just easier for us to take the parents, show them what to do. We're about to launch a course on a learning platform called School, SKOOL.com. And we're having a homeschooling mom. Her name is Angela. She's a certified elementary school teacher out in Texas. She did a decade of work, and then when her daughter was born, she stopped becoming a homeschooling mom. She's walking her child August through this, and we dropped the price to $147 a month, and she's there every week for an hour to 90-minute webinar to answer questions and to walk parents through this until they get it like Kimberly did. And the whole point is it's just easier for the parents to do it themselves. It's just literally come down to that. Yeah.
And that's, I can see that for sure. And so for you and next, like you said, 12 years you've been doing this in New York, in a couple more decades, where do you hope to see the future of dyslexia and students be at?
Well, I'll give you an example of I'm now working on giving my TEDx talk and working with another podcaster who's given 2 of them, and she's arranging everything for me. So I'll give that in the next 12 months. And then, as you know, things take off after that. We're trying to get this more into not only working with dyslexics, but gen ed kids. One example is his name is Grayson. He's 10 years old, not dyslexic in the least, no ADD, no ADHD. He's in the 99th percentile in math and science. And he wants to get his PhD and work at NASA to terraform Mars.
Wow.
So we started showing this process that I showed you. His dad's a tech podcaster, and he's taking the system I just gave you and he's showing it to his son. Once he gets done with the advanced paragraphs, I've already found a journal, an academic journal, that peer-reviewed journal that would work great for Grayson. And we found out that there's a problem statement that desperately needs to get done. So we're going to work with Grayson to actually create a peer-reviewed journal article.
Awesome.
Which usually doesn't happen until advanced graduate school.
Yep. Grayson
should have that done by 13 or 14. Then we're going to submit it for publication, and it will be rejected. They always are. Okay. Unless if you're a senior, even if you're a senior professor who knows the editor, you're probably going to get rejected over a comma or something. It's typical.
Yeah.
So then we're going to take that rejection and we're going to introduce him to a senior professor in that area. We're going to say, well, Grayson's going to go in and say, well, I want to publish this. Here are the reasons that it didn't get published. And these are things that, PhD students know how to fix. And then and he'll ask, can you help me publish this? And you want to see the professor's jaw drop. Because he's a decade ahead of when he's supposed to be doing this at the earliest. You want to know how that might help his chances of getting into college?
Oh, a lot. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what we do, we take people all the way through that and even beyond that. So we're putting up everything on that online platform, skol.com. And we're just going to move to where we're teaching, over time, thousands of students a year. That's our goal.
That's awesome. And it's so critical. And that's why I love this approach too, because I agree. I think lean into their strength, right? Lean into where they're super interested in. We talked about homeschooling our kids and all that, because it's an old system. And I think if we lean into what people or what kids are kind of built to do or interested in, they'll do so much better. And so, I like that approach for sure.
Yeah. And now remember what I was telling you about that advanced Shakespearean analysis that you just got? Well, we teach that to middle school kids.
Yeah.
They don't deal with that at middle school. We shoot them way past. Why am I using Grayson as an example? Because he represents the pinnacle of what kids are capable of doing. Literally, he is more cognitively advanced than a lot of adults that I know.
Yeah.
One of the things that I test is I'll ask question, answer. Grayson only stops when the answer is something humanity won't be able to solve for thousands of years, if ever, based on what he's interested in. So I'm giving this as an example because literally we do what nobody else does. Another one that I'm working with, he's ADHD, so you have to focus on a specialty. He wants to get a job as a football recruiter.
Oh, cool.
Okay, for colleges. He's played football in high school, not in college, because he didn't want to destroy his body. And I'm literally showing him through versions of a Harvard case study like example how to go in and do that job. Now, the funny thing about that job is they don't want to use AI or anything. They give you almost no autonomy. You have to do certain things the way we did in college, literally. Okay. And it pays horrible until year 5 or year 7 when you move up and you start to get some autonomy and you start to make real money. But just showing him how to do that, but also how to use artificial intelligence, because I stay at the cutting edge of that. If you know the craft of research, you can work with AI beautifully.
Yeah.
Okay. Because currently I'm using Opus 4.6 and things that worked in January don't work now. There's a whole new workflow. So I'm beginning to show him that process as well. So because his father desperately wants to make sure that he's able to get a really good job and he has a 3.2 GPA in college in business. The college did its job, but he's not ready for what's required. For a lot of new high school, college grads can't find jobs because they don't know how to effectively work with AI. And I'm showing him that process as we're going through that. Okay. So we deal with that entire area.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely a changing landscape, and we got to shift. Because we gotta, if it's not working so well, we got to fix it a little bit. So.
Oh no, it's much worse than that. What worked in the beginning of November, it was totally different in December. What worked in January is now completely off in February. Where we are is agents are now doing the work.
Yep.
All right. And we were supposed to supervise the agents. That was January. Mm-hmm. Now it's February. Now we're having supervisory agents supervising the agents.
Right.
And what we need to do is to create specs that they can run off of.
Yeah.
Okay. That ability to learn how to do that rapidly is an extension of the craft of research that I teach, so that these students can learn this the companies want them to become senior within 6 or 12 months, if they're even given that much time.
Right.
People like us, we're really good at what we do. Mm-hmm. So if you're working for Fortune 500, because we know really good what we do, they're giving us a lot of leeway to learn AI because we're senior.
Right.
But these kids, there's just no leeway. The CEO of Anthropic thinks that in 5 years, half the white-collar jobs are just going to be gone for new college grads.
Right.
So I stay ahead of that. I spend at least 5 to 7 hours a week staying up at the cutting edge of AI because I have to use it for my business.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm currently showing students is, here's the process of how AI will eventually and the agents will manage the other agents. It's not there yet. Right. But here's how you use things to run the agents yourself. I do 3 windows at a time, going from one project to the next, and I have a whole workflow designed to create the optimal quality, because we are knowledge workers. Our product is written reports, and I'm severely dyslexic. I use that process to create written reports that people would say, yeah, this is B grade. This is good.
Yep.
It's not something I'll remember forever, but it's exactly what I need. I like the format. It's clean. They like the whole thing. And I just shoot that out. I'm doing 3 at a time.
Wow. Yeah, the future's going to be crazy. It's going to be very interesting. And this has been a great conversation. Just super, super, and it's a whole nother episode, but the brain is just so interesting, and things we still don't even know how to harness within our own brain, and how it can be different like this is. So you being able to take this direction with dyslexia and the different parts of the brain and how they're working differently, put it in a system that works for that individual based on, how their brain's working is just so cool. And it's just such a thing for me to get my mind wrapped around because of just the potential, to help so many people, and help them kind of live to their potential, because now someone understands. Just because they're different doesn't mean they're lesser. It's just they're stronger in certain areas than other people, and they're weaker in others, and that's okay. And so this is just really cool, and I love what you're doing. And I think thank you for being on and sharing. If people want to get connected with you, learn more from you, even maybe jump in school with you, where's the best place for them to go and connect with you at?
Best thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com. There's a button there that says download free guide. Just answer 3 questions. Set up a time to speak with me for free. It's a half an hour. Doesn't cost you anything. We go over all of this to find out what your kid's speciality is and help you get started. And you'll get a free guide that kind of expands on what we said today. And that's usually the best thing.
Fantastic. Yeah, everyone get connected with Russell, what they're doing, learn from them. If you think, your child might be dyslexic or have any of these that you want to harness to get better and improve, reach out and get that help. But again, this has been a great conversation. Russell, again, thanks so much for being on the Elevate Media podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to this and haven't yet, make sure you follow the show. It just helps us keep doing this to get more information, more guidance out to people so they can help in their own lives and their businesses. And share this with someone. If you know someone who's got a dyslexic kid or they're dyslexics themselves, share this with them. Give them this benefit and help so we can help more people together. So, but again, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, go out there, continue to elevate your life, elevate your brand, and we'll talk to you again soon.